It's not often that you get to see a film about a movie hero of the nature of Dalton Trumbo. And it's also not often that you see a story about a very complicated and very important life told with great panache, with great humor and a great sense of entertainment, the kind of which I think he would entirely approve. So it was really what they call a no-brainer for us at the festival when we saw this delightful film to invite it to this year's lineup. We have in the house a number of distinguished guests who create a really wonderful series of performances in the film. So I'm going to ask you to join me in welcoming first Adewale Akinnuoye-Agbaje. I did it.
That was beautiful. Thank you.
And next, Mr. John Goodman.
Thank you.
The inimitable Helen Mirren. And I feel like adding a Sir to his name in this context for some reason. Sir Bryan Cranston.
Thank you, Kate. Hello, good evening. Thank you for having us.
I'm going to ask each one of you just to tell us a little bit about your involvement in the film. And I'm going to start by asking you, Adewale, how did you become involved in the project and what attracted you to it?
The process was quite straightforward, actually. Jay Roach, who's the wonderful director of this movie, had seen some of the work I'd done and literally invited me to be a part. So that process was quite easy. But in terms of why I wanted to be a part, I think the movie is obvious when you see it. But, you know, like many, I wasn't really aware of who Dalton Trumbo was. I knew of his wonderful movies, in fact, movies that inspired me to be in the industry. But when you read his story, the human side of him, a man who stood for integrity and principles against all odds, is very inspiring, just on a human level. And then, of course, this wonderful cast, to be able to be a part of a movie with them and also tell the story of a man who'd inspired me was one of the main reasons I want to be a part of it.
And John, did you have a bit of a sense of who Dalton Trumbo was?
I knew he wasn't one of the Marx Brothers. I knew a little bit about that era, and I knew of his integrity and courage. I didn't know he was as prolific as he was, nor that he wrote in the conditions that he wrote in, which I think you'll see and be charmed by. But I wanted to be a part of telling the story, and I'd never worked with Bryan before. We were trapped in a press junket before, and he saved my life for talking the entire time, which was very gracious of him. But yeah, it was a wonderful cast, and the script was terrific, and I wanted to be a part of it.
And Helen, the importance of the story for you, and of course, you're in this story on the wrong side of the fence, and how did you prepare yourself for embodying someone like Hedda Hopper?
Well, you know, I did know about the story. In fact, I met Dalton Trumbo right towards the end of his life. I went to meet him for a film, which I didn't get. Well, actually, the film didn't get made, but I did have the pleasure of meeting him. But, you know, I didn't really care about any of that, honestly. I did the film because I got to wear hats. And I do love a hat, I have to say. I love a good hat. Well. And I wear a lot of amazing hats in this movie. And it's the first time, and probably the last time, I'll ever have the opportunity to wear that many hats. No, but many reasons. You know, obviously the story, the director, who's utterly charming, and he was a lovely man to meet and to be with, and did a great job bringing humour into the story, which could have been quite a sort of heavy story. But mostly, honestly, the opportunity to work with Bryan, who I think is one of the preeminent American actors alive today. So that was my great honor to work with John. Bryan, not you. you're awful.
And Bryan, the audience is about to see, I think, a very rich performance from you, one that traverses both the kind of intensity of the seriousness of the subject, but also the good humor in which the story is told. Can you tell us a little bit about how you worked with Jay Roach, the director, to achieve that tone?
Well, he was a very flamboyant man, a very dramatic person, pontificating, smoking his cigarettes through his cigarette holder, loved to hold court, used flowery language, irritating a lot of people. He was a tremendously iconoclastic kind of person. And to play a character like that, it was a little daunting because it could slip into caricature. And I was a little nervous about that. So I told Jay Roach, I said, I'm going to just really go big and go out on that limb. And if you hear it start to crack, just pull me back a little bit. And he never did. So what you're about to see. No, he's a beautiful, beautiful man, very, very troubled in many ways, very intense, very prolific at his work. And I don't know that I would say that he was a hero. I was in his shoes. He would say that he was just trying to defend his civil liberties, and they were in jeopardy. And he was trying to help his friends who were in jeopardy. And the idea of an enlightened society demanding, the government demanding that you reveal these personal truths under the threat of incarceration is wrong. It was wrong in Nazi Germany. It's wrong at any point in our history. And that's truly the message that Trumbo conveys in this story. But it's done in such an entertaining way. And John McNamara, who wrote the script, has a lot to do with that, and Jay Roach. Working with this cast was tremendous. The second time I got a chance to work with Dame Helen. And it is a treat to work with you and John and Adewale. It was a joy. It truly was. I smoke a lot in this movie because he was a chain smoker, and that was probably, someone asked me out on the red carpet, what was your favorite day? And I said when I could stop smoking in the movie. But we hope you enjoy it, and thank you so much for coming, and that's all I have to say.
Enormous thanks to all of you. And also a very big thanks to our good partners at Entertainment One for collaborating with us this evening. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.